All right. Hey guys. I am going to be speaking today about cryptocurrency. I'm going to try to stay on that topic as much as possible, but there's going to be a little bit of a build up to um, kind of the climax of what I'm saying. So I'm going to start out not really talking about cryptocurrency and then build up to it and describe it. Try to describe it on a pretty basic level, a simplified level, so we don't need to be so scared of it. Because what I noticed is when I go to try to talk to friends or family about it, I tend to get like a mental block, a psychological barrier that I can't seem to get through, or the discomfort of both people just gets a little too high. I have had a rough two or three last years when it comes to friends and family and maintaining relationships because I kind of tugged on a loose thread in the fabric of reality and saw through many of my belief systems and the flaws and the inaccuracy and the anxiety, and that leads to a lot of honesty. And if you go the direction of honesty in this life, then you are going to lose a lot of your relationships because we're just not in a society that cares about truth. They're very walled off from the truth. They don't even know the truth exists. They don't know that it is possible to become truth realized, to see reality a lot more clearly without belief systems in your system. Basically, within your human system, we have been programmed from our parents, from television, from schools, from everything to believe certain ways to make it around in the world. And I'm not sitting here stating my opinion that that's bad. I'm saying that that is how it is, and we tend to deny that because we want to show off our intelligence to get love and praise and approval from the people around us. And that's going to be a topic for a whole different thing. I want to focus on cryptocurrency because this is mainly directed at my family and somewhat directed at the world if I decide to put it on YouTube. But in my mind, it's for my own personal gain, which is basically the only reason any of us do anything, because we cannot prove the external world exists, period. So we have to be doing everything for ourselves, even though we're taught a belief system of non-selfishness, but that's simply just not even possible. So I'm basically doing this to get it out of my system so that I can be free of it, the same way I got lots of other things out of my system. This is a very can cause a lot of stress and anxiety within our physiology, because money is entangled within everything that we do. It's energy. It's basically what we need to survive, and we're all fighting over it like crazy people. I don't have a picture of what I want to say because I really didn't think of it, but I'm thinking of it now, and it's basically 96% of the world's money belongs to the top 5% of people. So the distribution of wealth is enough to make anyone throw up if they really look at it. Yes, there's lots of middle class people that lead great lives with a house and a car or a boat or whatever, but there's still not getting much of the overall wealth. We actually have a ton of money in the world, and if it was just distributed a little bit better, we wouldn't have a billion people starving, over a billion people in need of water. Just the basic essentials, the bare necessities of life. We wouldn't be in such a strapped, greedy society if we could just distribute this wealth a little more evenly, because the current system just isn't working. And I'm not here to say that the current system is bad or wrong, because I don't believe it is. I believe it is primitive to what's to come in the future. I'm not one to really believe in hope or faith, but I do see this as a really awesome alternative and the most exciting thing going on in the world today. It's a completely awesome financial revolution that's happening, and it's going to limit the power of the governments and bring a lot of the power back to the individual people if they're willing to open their minds up and understand it a little bit better. So this is not a sales pitch. I'm trying to just say it as it is, as clearly as I can see it. And the reason that I can see it clearly is because I destroyed my belief systems, which basically is like destroying your personality. Because what we do is we entangle our beliefs through our persona, and then we try to hold it up by constantly verbalizing it and getting approval by people. So that's like going on Facebook and trying to get likes, or Twitter and trying to get likes, or going to your family and constantly holding up your belief systems. I decided to let my belief systems fall into dust and see what was left. And once you remove your entire belief system, you start to see a lot more clearly, and you're not constantly engaged in thought. So the majority of the day I'm thoughtless. Currently, I get to think about something. I'm trying to put my emotion and focus toward displaying how I see things. And I just want to share it with people so they can decide if they want to put some money into this new system. So I'm going to bring up, I have 3 pyramids that I drew up. This one is, I labeled it the money system currently, which is basically based on belief. So belief and delusion, these words coincide in my mind. And so at the bottom of the pyramid, we have the Federal Reserve, and they're the ones who loan out all the money. We don't really even know who they are. We know the Rothschilds family started the banking system, and they created the banking systems throughout the entire world. And we all know how the banks work. The banks loan the money out to everything. Even government and politics, the corporations, religions. College is a big one. Now, college and religion, I'm going to push your buttons here a little bit, and I don't want to lose anybody based on what I'm saying, because I know a lot of what I'm saying is going to tamper with your beliefs. But it's okay to push buttons. We're not going to break. I got rid of all my beliefs, and I'm not broken. I'm here. You know, if anything, it's opened my heart up more than anything ever could, more than any bullshit that's being sold out there. So basically, I'm saying that college and religion are 2 of the biggest money-making scams out there. And I'm only talking based on money. I'm not saying that college and religion don't help people or gain intelligence or any of that. I'm saying money-wise, they're huge. And student loans alone they're in the trillions. So they're big. And if people don't pay those back, that's going to be another huge issue. And I don't know how they're going to pay those back, because the jobs and the mass unemployment that's about to hit us is going to shake our world up, because technology is so powerful that robots and computers can just do a better job than we can, plain and simple. And what I'll be talking about later with cryptocurrency and the blockchain, we're going to see how that's going to transpire. So the thing that's happening is the banks are loaning to the workers and the middle class, and the middle class is basically doing all the work. They're grinding their asses off, working hard, doing exactly as they're told. You know, I don't have any opinion one way or the other. I just know the life I lived, and I am very, very, very good at empathy, and I've seen through the eyes of my friends, my family, very, very well. And it's not, and to see through someone else's eyes means to really hop into their lives and feel their lives and feel what discomfort is associated with it. And there's no room for sympathy or compassion when you're talking about empathizing with someone. You're just hopping into their life and seeing it as if they're not in control of their life, because the main delusion throughout the entire world right now is free will. And I know that we all want to head towards it, and I know we all want to believe it, and that's fine. But to run on it as an assumption throughout the day creates a very, very delusional, sociopathic, greedy sense of selfhood. And that is ego basically connecting to these thoughts as if they were true. And when these egos get built up within the middle class, based off of what their information they're intaking from television, it can really create a blindness to reality as it's actually happening, because they just go to what feels good. And that's how life is. We just want to feel good. Like, our emotions are our feedback system, so we need our emotions to tell us what direction to head in life, even if that means heading a direction you weren't taught or whatever. So the television is basically kind of a prequel to what's going on, because we're constantly taking in the information and connecting with the information, and that creates a lot of mental confusion, and it creates drama. And if I were to label humanity right now, I'd say it is just one of the most boring, shittiest, lame dramas I could ever come up with. And I think a lot of people would agree with me, and I think that's probably why a lot of us bury our face in television, because it's just better than reality right now. Because reality right now is really, really sad. I'm not sure where, somewhere along the way, manifesting desire became the bad guy and compassion became the good guy. And that is, that's weak, because we're being compassionate on things that are just, I mean, a stubbed toe or a fender bender or something. Like, these are, I mean, these minor nuisances are nothing compared to facing all of the fears of life. So I'm getting a little too far out of what I wanted to talk about, but those will be for future videos. So we got the Federal Reserve loaning to the banks. So the banks are just like us. They're dependent on getting loans from the Federal Reserve, and then the banks are loaning to everybody. So the workers, in general, they're putting in their 40 hours. They're doing everything right. They're putting all their money into Social Security, Roth IRA. They're paying their taxes. They're doing what they're told, and that's great. And they're also doing the mass amount of consumption, which means new shit comes out, new iPhone, new television, new whatever, new car, whatever. They're working hard, they're spending hard. They were taught if you work hard, you deserve this. If you work hard, you deserve that. That's basically the baby boomer generation teaching method of belief. For me, I did all that. It didn't bring me happiness. It didn't bring me any bit of joy. It brought me stress, anxiety. The more shit I owned, the more shit I was trying to protect, the higher lifestyle. I had a lifestyle where I needed to make at least $4,000 a month. If I didn't make $4,000 a month, I couldn't live my lifestyle. Now my lifestyle is down to $500-600 a month, and I can survive. I don't know how I got to this point, but I'm grateful I did, and and that's really good for me because it allows boredom in my life, and now that I have boredom in my life, I can do whatever I want, even a video like this. So it can be uncomfortable when boredom comes in the beginning, but you start to get used to it, and I'm starting to see all the quote-unquote mistakes I made throughout my life, which I don't even see as mistakes. I just see it as I did it, I felt it, I prefer not to do it that way again. And I'll screw up constantly, and I'll be grateful every time I screw up because I'm so damn good at it. Anyways, so we got the poor people at the top of this pyramid, and this is the delusional pyramid. So this is how the current belief system works, and beliefs are powerful. I am not discounting the power of belief. Belief is awesome. It might be the only thing we got to work with here. And this is, since the mass amount of consciousness, the mass amount of people are believing this system, this is the current system in place. But if we look through history, we see that these belief systems, they reach speed bumps. Nothing stays the same. Constant motion has to be happening in reality. And a speed bump is happening whether you want it to or not. It doesn't matter what you want. If reality is happening, it's happening. Forcefully trying to believe another direction is just going to cause it's just going to cause you more discomfort later, because you're going to have to face that reality down the road. So like you can hide in your houses and not face what's happening, but if you face it head on right now and get a jump start on things and at least try to gain some knowledge on it, and it's cool because there's really not much going on. Like, I've tried and thought of, like, is there any job I could do? Is there anything that could bring me happiness? And not really. The cool thing about this cryptocurrency and what's happening is it's uncertain, and it's fun when you don't know what's going to happen in life. It can be uncomfortable because your whole life you have known what's going to happen, but if you get bored of that and realize, I'm going to die anyway, so I might as well, check some new things out, try some new things, whatever. So we got the pyramid here, and it's the poor people at the top. Now, this isn't how I see it. This is how delusionally the world sees it. But when we flip the script and flip the pyramid upside down, we get a whole new thing. And real quick, on the right here, I have 75 trillion total dollars in the world. That's what's in circulation. Only 3% of that is tangible cash. 3 to 5 or something like that. So all of it is just fairy tale, pixie dust. It's not even, they just make it up. They just continuously just put new numbers there for us to believe. And we owe, as a world, $230 trillion. We are constantly fighting an uphill battle. So we need something to come in and stir this up, shake this up, and hopefully annihilate it. And so I'm going to put up how I see it actually works. Because the way that I see it actually works, and I call this, I drew this up too, is this is the real pyramid of the money system. And the money system takes place in our minds. It doesn't take place out there in reality. It takes place in all of our minds. Like, we're all part of it. Like, what we're seeing and thinking and feeling is all part of it. That's how we create desire. That's how we manifest desires. So I flipped it upside down. So at the bottom of the pyramid, where the majority of people are, because if we take it on a mass consciousness level, and what I'm saying, none of this is true. This is just how I see it. I'm not saying that any of this is true at all. It's just how I see it. And I see it this way because I removed all my belief systems. So after I flipped the script on life, on reality, this is what I got. At the bottom of the pyramid, we now have the poor people. And the poor people they're unemployed, they're desperate, they're going through depression, hopelessness, confusion, stress, and they're pissed off, and anger's a big one. Like, anger really gets things stirring. They're not abiding to the rules because they're not getting what they want. They can't get what they want. They know it's just a dead end. They're skeptical. They're becoming real. They're starting cults, gangs. They're isolating themselves. They're entering a rational depression. Now, a rational depression is something that I am all about. There's a huge money-making market for keeping people from entering depression. Depression is awesome. It is necessary. You will recover. It may take years. That's okay. It's just part of life. And if you want to enter that rational depression, then you have to unconditionally surrender. And when we talk about religion, there's one thing all religions have in common, and it's unconditional surrender to a God. Now, I'm not telling you to unconditionally surrender to a God, but you can rationally try to figure out what's true. You can write and write and write and write until you get to a foundation of what's true. Now, I can state what's true. Infinite consciousness is true. But that's a whole other topic for another day. But that's it. And it can't get context past that. And that is a very frustrating thing for a human being to have to deal with. Because a human being built an entire delusion and an entire persona and personality that is going to fight to keep that persona and personality and belief system alive. And the cogito, I am, is the thing that will annihilate that. If you let that enter your head as truth, as the only thing that is true, you will see that it is the only thing that is true, and we don't know anything. That's what we all have in common. None of us know anything. We're just doing best guessed reality. We can't state a single thing as true within reality. Infinite consciousness resides outside of this reality, and everything inside of this reality is just going to be guesswork. It's just going to be perception, and delusion is running the show. So this mechanism inside people that causes them to believe certain things is what's running the entire show. Anyways, so at the bottom of this pyramid we have these people, the ones without the money, so these are the ones holding up the current money structure. If they stop believing, if they stop fighting, if they stop trying, then that distrust leads up a level to the middle class. So I was down here. I lost everything. I lost all my money. I lost all my assets, all my everything. I lost all of it. Everything. Because I unconditionally surrendered, and that's just where it took me. And happiest day of my life was when I had I had like $24 in my poker account. And I could feel throughout my entire body, throughout my entire system and mind that I was going to be okay. I just knew it. And I turned, somehow that money turned into more money, I don't know. I just kept riding the ride of life. So this distrust leads up to the middle class, because all these people know people up here. And these people have their guards up. They have their beliefs. They don't want to lose their houses. They don't want to lose their jobs. They don't want to lose all that stuff. So they continuously spout their beliefs at this lower level of the pyramid. So they're holding up their delusions by energetically. These egos, they're powerful. They're energetic and they're nasty, and they are constantly kicking these people down even harder to hold up their own belief system. But eventually, the truth is king. It's unstoppable because it's truth. So it's going to destroy the next level, because the bottom level of the pyramid falls, the whole pyramid's going to fall. That's the thing. Like, these people are going to start getting desperate. They're going to start getting depressed. They're going to start becoming skeptical. They're going to start becoming angry. They've been working for 40 plus years, They're pissed off. They realize, oh my God, I'm going to die soon, and I didn't get what I wanted out of life, Like, I was lied to. I blindly followed the herd. So I'm going to, join these people down here, because these people, they don't carry that burden. They don't carry that anxiety. They're just like, shrug, at anything. And that, I was drawn to that. So, lots of my friends, I was up here and trying to play this game, with the rich people and stuff. And I was just drawn to the bottom part of the pyramid because it felt better. It just felt better. So the bottom part of the pyramid falls, and that leads up to the next. And then now we're talking about a market collapse and an economy that's going to fail, because the money system printed too much money, the inflation got too high, the market got too high, people's perceptions, like, they got lazy, they got fat, they got lazy. They thought everything was going to stay the same forever, because television doesn't change. If you want to find out information, you have to go on the internet, and you have to go through Google, you have to go through Twitter, you got to go through Facebook, you got to go through YouTube. Like, I'm a huge YouTube guy. I think YouTube's going to be way bigger than television. Like, television is just the most primitive thing. Like, I'm to the point where I have trouble watching a football game, because it's the same script every single year. All 32 teams, they fluctuate on who wins, and I see the way that they treat the players, and the players get injured, and it's just the whole thing makes me sick anymore to look at. Now, that being said, it doesn't mean I don't like watching football. I'm aware of what's going on, and it's just not as appealing as going toward other things. So the Federal Reserve doesn't have all the power. It's just a couple hundred people. Who the hell knows? We don't even know, because that information is just, everything's hidden. You know, they only tell us what they want to tell us. They only program us with what they want to program us with. Money is control, and that's just how it's been working. But when we start engaging toward the truth, we see the script will get flipped, and that's kind of cool. So after the market collapses and the economy fails, people won't pay their credit cards. People aren't going to pay their student loans. The banks are going to fail. They're going to default. The Federal Reserve is going to do what? The same thing it always does. Unless something comes along to make it cool again, to make life not suck so much. So in the top left corner, I have a quote from the Joker. Whoops. I have a quote from the Joker, and it says, "Desire becomes surrender, surrender becomes power." So if you have desires, fight for them, go get them, get everything you want. Find out that you're still not happy. That's probably what's going to happen, because that's the trend. You can look at athletes, you can look at celebrities. It's just the trend. It doesn't make you weird, it doesn't make you awful, it doesn't make you wrong. It's just the way it is. I got everything I wanted out of like my desires, and I still wasn't happy. I was making like plenty of money. I had an awesome girlfriend. I was kicking ass at golf. It didn't matter, because like you still got that little kid underlying your entire belief structure, and that little kid wants some attention, and he just wants to play and have fun in the world, and you can't do that when you're playing the success game. So I surrendered the success game for the life game. I split the two. I realized the success game was a dead end, because I looked at the most successful, and you can read it in their faces. Like, physiology doesn't lie. You can look at a person. As a poker player, this is easy for me. I can look at a person and know what kind of life they lived, and you can just tell. So, the most successful people aren't necessarily the happiest, and actually, definitely not. They actually, they carry so much burden, they carry so much weight, they carry so much illusion of shit that they can't just let go. They can't take a day off. They can't take any time off, because they're constantly getting zapped with beliefs that keep them going, like Energizer bunnies, and they're abusing their bodies, tons of them, especially the big money making people. Like, they're just getting lazier and fatter. Like, I wouldn't want to carry around all that extra weight. Like, it's tough. Anyways, so now we got the cool thing coming, and that cool thing is cryptocurrency. So cryptocurrency works the same way the money system works, except there's no third party. You're not handing your money over to a bank. You're not handing your money. You're holding on to your money. No one can touch your money. The government cannot touch your money if you own cryptocurrency. And that is awesome, because they're not taking a percentage, and you don't have to fear them stealing your money, because they can. There's endless instances, and so the way this system works, same way. The money system has to work on a delusion, and that's fine. Like, we need the money system. We're not going to be able to live without it. It's fine, it's cool, but this is a total awesome alternative. And I'll get into why it's secure a little bit later. So, at the bottom of this pyramid, and this is also delusional, because it has to be, we have, but it's also accurate, we have the miners. They own the cryptocurrency. So what a miner is, they own these supercomputers. You just plug it into the wall, and you plug it into the internet, and you get in a mining pool, and it gives a ton of like hash power, a ton of just effort toward this mining pool, and it creates blocks which are held in a ledger. And this is an online ledger that isn't held by a third party, so we don't need like accountants and all those folders and all that paperwork. Everything is held in the air. It's just held on everybody's computer around the world. So if one person's computer gets hacked, it's okay, because it's held on everyone's computer. So this prevents hacks. This prevents problems with theft and stuff that is going to be a huge problem, because hackers are crushing the scene right now, and they're going to steal your money. Like, they just will. I mean, they're good. They have nothing to lose. So you want to put your money in something that is the safest. I'm not saying it's 100% safe. Nothing's 100%. It's the safest right now. And they got the smartest people in the world working on security with cryptocurrency. The smartest people in the world have left the old success scene, and they've entered this scene because they have vision and they can see it, and it's just where they are. So there's just super mega geniuses running this entire scene. So the miners get the coin. The supercomputers figure out all the algorithms, and then they get code or whatever, and then they get the coin. So once a miner gets a coin, they own that cryptocurrency. But in order for this to work, those miners have to sell those coins to investors, to people that think, oh, this is a cool idea. It could be a financial revolutionary thing. So those miners sell it to an investor for a price. And the cool thing about these coins are there's a limited number of coins. So when we take Bitcoin, there's only 24 million total Bitcoin that will be available in the world. And all of them will be sold about 100 years from now. Every one of them will be completely accounted for and sold. So we have a supply and demand thing happening when it comes to cryptocurrency. So since there's a limited number of them, we can start to slap a price on them. And we use fiat currency, we use cash, or other countries, the yen or whatever, and we purchase cryptocurrency for a price as an investor. After the miners do all the work, hang on a second. Alright, sorry, I paused the video. I don't know where I left off. I guess I was... what the hell was I talking about? Oh yeah, the miners are selling their coins to the investors. So after a miner creates a coin, so they create a Bitcoin. So they mine all day long, and then finally comes to the right algorithm and the right... gets all the right numbers and shit, and then they have a coin. So now they own one of the 24 million coins. And whatever that coin's currently going for, they can sell to an investor. Or they can hold on to that coin if they want to. Miners hold on to their coins a lot, but they also sell them a lot. They have to. So then the investors buy them, and because the investors think, this could be big or huge one day, or they're just trading it, on the daily chart or the monthly, just trying to make a quick buck, and they might move it back into cash, or they might move it back into crypto. And that's the thing that makes this extremely, extremely, extremely volatile. So you have to understand when you're investing in this that it's going to be a very fluctuating market. Now, currently, November 28, 2017, it's not going to be a huge fluctuating market like it was, but you never know what's going to happen. So yes, you probably don't want to put all your money into it, although I have, because I'm just a different breed of human being that just feels like he has nothing to lose and likes just going all in all the time. So those investors are actually next on the list. And then we got technology, banks, corporations, government, businesses. They have to absorb this decentralized currency, or else they're going to keep holding on to the dollar. Because what happens with crypto, and we can see here, I made this chart on 10/4/17. The total market cap of cryptocurrency was $150 billion. So when you take all the currencies, and there's hundreds of coins, but the majority is on Bitcoin. Like the top 5 are basically, I'd say 90% of the money. Or I guess top 10 is probably like 90% of the money for cryptocurrency. On 10/4/2017, it was $150 billion. We're on 11/28/2017, so it's been a little under 2 months, and we are at $310 billion. So it has over doubled in 2 months. So there's lots of people out there that get it, that believe in it, that are having fun with it, you know, whatever. So what we have here is a financial revolution, and it's happening whether you want to believe it, whether you want to fight it or not. It's already happening. It's like a done deal. Governments don't know what to do, because the only way they can stop it is to shut down the internet, and that's opening a whole new can of worms when it comes to people not taking that well. So if governments have any interest in keeping the people happy, they're not going to close down the internet. And provided that doesn't happen, then the governments and banks are going to have to integrate with this technology. They're going to have to invest themselves, or they're going to get left behind. And they're waking up to that, and that's why this market cap has over doubled in 2 months. So it's on its way to $1 trillion. And when we looked at our chart earlier, we saw there's only $75 trillion in the world. So this is going to start to make a dent in the money system, on top of the fact that the money system is going to collapse. Without crypto, it would collapse, and we'd enter a way worse depression than the previous one in the 30s or 40s or whenever it was. So, yeah. So this is a big thing, and it's on the individual to make the purchase of the cryptocurrency. You can't go to your financial advisor and ask them to invest in cryptocurrency for you. And if they do it, I guarantee they're taking a percentage that is going to frustrate you down the road once you realize that this stuff, it's not that hard if you take your time and set it up, or have someone help you set it up to buy some of this. You can buy some of this just as a hedge, and you can consistently hedge it against your own your dollar that you currently have. Like, you could do like 10% of your money in it, just in case it takes off, just in case it takes over the dollar. You know, you want to be prepared, because you got to take care of your people you love. So yeah, it works the same way, same money system, except we're removing the third party, the banks that are, we know the frustration when it comes to dealing with banking system. So this, in order to understand this, though, you have to learn to think independently. You have to take in the information. Like what I'm saying, every word out of my mouth is a lie. I can't state the truth. I can only state belief, and no belief is going to be true. So I'm only sharing my information, but you're going to have to filter it through yourself, and you're going to have to filter it through your own emotions and your own thoughts and your own feedback to come up with what you want to do, or how you want to do it, or how much you want to invest. It's going to be up to you. And if that's nothing, that's fine. I mean, why? I am doing this to get it out of my system. It's not a sales pitch. It's not anything like that. I don't care what anyone does or whatever. I don't, because, like, whatever happens in life, it doesn't matter, because in the end, we're all going to be dusted. And that constant knowledge that overtakes my mind is that death awareness, to be aware that you are going to die, to have that within your system fully throughout every single day now, like I do. Nothing means anything, and that starts to become okay. It wasn't okay, when I'm trembling in fear, when I'm going through, sessions of pain and anxiety and stress associated with it. But now I understand I'm going to die, and none of this matters. And since I know that, I can move forward with my life. I can actually start to try to manifest desires. And now I know that no matter what I build, no matter how great I get, no matter any of that, it's not going to matter, because I am going to die. So that puts me on an even playing field with every single human being. And I now understand that I need to respect every single human being. And I do respect every single human being, because I would not have the intelligence, the illusion of knowledge that I have, had it not been for every single person in my life. I would not have been able to see the contrast associated with all the different things in life if it weren't for everybody. So I don't feel as if I am an individual. I feel as if I'm everybody and everything I ever knew my entire life. And that brings me a lot of gratitude. And it also brings me a lot of frustration, because a lot of the old ways of thinking just aren't going to work now, and I find myself being unresponsive and shut down around the people I just love so much. And I just want them to drop their guard and just be like, it's okay to talk about these hard to talk about things, so we can get past them, and we can have fun playing games or whatever, so back to crypto. Is it unstoppable? At this point, it's hard to fight against. I don't see what can possibly stop it. Now, a year ago at this time, when the market cap was only $12 billion, yeah, I mean, it could have been stopped, maybe, but it wasn't. So now we're at this point where we got $300 billion plus and growing hard, and everybody wants a piece. Everybody's trying to get a piece. And the cool thing is, currently, less than 1% of people own Bitcoin. So it's not too late to get in the game. And something that we have to understand when we're investing in cryptocurrency is, we see these big numbers that, oh my god, Bitcoin's $10,000. I can't afford it. Okay. First of all, the price doesn't mean anything. The $10,000 doesn't mean anything. That's just the public's perception on what it's worth. So when you see that number in 3 years at $500,000, and you're like, oh my god, I could have got in when it was only $10,000, you're going to be like, I should have been paying attention a little more, or understanding how it works a little more. So it's going to go up in these 3-5% increments, and the price is irrelevant. So it doesn't matter what cryptocurrency you're investing in, you have to understand that the price is irrelevant, because you can buy a portion of Bitcoin. You don't have to buy a full Bitcoin. You can buy 0.000001 Bitcoin. It goes down to the 8th decimal level, and those levels are called Satoshis. And then I'll get into that a little bit later, what a Satoshi is and all that, or who Satoshi is, which nobody knows. So this money system is being built for consumers, just like the current money system. Without the consumers, the economy would fail. So the consumers are going to find this a way, way, way better form of money, because they're not going to have to deal with Visa, they're not going to have to deal with MasterCard, they're not going to have to deal with their banks. They're going to be able to directly make purchases with this. And that's growing. It's not like fully even close to grown yet, but there's a lot of major companies accepting cryptocurrency, and it's just going to grow and grow and grow. But currently we're at the mining and investing stage primarily, unless we're talking about the top coins that are getting utilized. So, yeah. That's this is the cryptocurrency pyramid and the way it works, and it works the same way. It works off human perception, it works off belief. So we have to realize that when people are heading out of old thinking that is causing them discomfort, or like they're just bored, they're tired, they want to shake things up, or whatever. It's different for everybody. But I prefer to call it old thinking and new thinking. So they're moving away from the old thinking and they're starting to integrate with technology and the way things work, or are going to work. So out with the old, in with the new. I mean, age it got all diluted. Age is irrelevant. Like, you could be a 90-year-old, but you could have the mentality of a 15-year-old because you just stayed in the same loop your whole life or something. I'm not trying to press too many buttons here on anybody. I'm just saying that if you want to grow the mind, you have to learn how to destroy the mind as well, because you can't take in new information without processing the old information out. Otherwise you're just layering new information on top of the old information, but the old information wasn't taken care of. So, like, it causes a complete mental confusion, and I am speaking from experience. It's brutal, it's painful. So you got to do the work on the life journey level as well. But you can believe, if you've gone your whole life just picking different things to believe, or whoever, or putting your trust in certain people, you can do that too. I mean, I want my friends and family to have money. I don't want us all to be broke. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that, and we're gonna go toward, let's see here. Alright, so I got decentralization brought up, because before we get into crypto deeper, we have to understand what we're doing here. We're decentralizing money. Currently, it's centralized. So we'll go to slide 2. I got a YouTube here. You can, I'll figure out how to get you the link, or you can just type it in or whatever. But when it comes to these YouTubes and the YouTubes I post, they're just like some of the better ones I've seen. I've seen hundreds of them, and my advice is dive in yourself, think for yourself. That's always my advice. Think for yourself, think for yourself. I can't stress that enough. I'm not going to do the thinking for you. I can record this, but I'm doing this for my own gain. I'm doing this to get it out of my system, so I don't have to have my mind running constantly with this stuff, with this new stuff. I want to dispose of it so I can bring in new stuff. So centralized is basically CEO with regional managers in charge of workers. So top of the pyramid, we got the CEO. This is basically a pyramid of business now. The workers doing the labor, and the upper tier psychology running the show without backlash because of need for money. So we got the CEO, and then they got managers, and then under that they got workers. And that's kind of a centralized version. So the workers really have no say in what's happening, they're just doing the work. The managers are telling them what to do. If the workers have a problem, they go to the manager. If the manager has a problem, they go to the CEO. That's centralized. Okay. Now, there's different levels of centralized. If you think of it kind of like a spectrum or an axis, between centralized and decentralized, it's going to fall somewhere in there, either more toward decentralized or more toward centralized. So this is just kind of learning what the difference between the two. So we're in a centralized money system right now, with the Federal Reserve and the pyramids I showed earlier. So there's a bipolar axis between, I already said that. When a problem occurs, the worker asks, and I already said that. So for government, it's similar to the branches of authority: legislative, executive, judicial branches. I'm not super knowledgeable on that stuff, but you get it. Over here, we got the European system. So it just shows how it works in different cultures and how it has our whole lives. If you want to bring the power to the people or whatever, I'm not super into that stuff. I get it, but at the same time, I don't go into fantasies or delusions on it. I want to stay here, grounded in reality, and see it clearly. If that type of stuff happens, yeah, I'll be excited about it or whatever. But I'm not going to be selling that type of stuff. But this just shows, it goes peasants nice, nobles king, and it's just, it's psychological power. It's psychological warfare. But everybody's their own human being, and if you really dive into things deeply and start tugging on those loose threads of reality, you'll start to surrender, and you'll eventually gain the illusion of power. So we got decentralizing money, Bitcoin, another YouTube there. World's first global decentralized digital programmable money. Cool, huh? So all this means is Bitcoin is independent money. You're not dependent on the government. You're not dependent on anything. It's independency when it comes to your financial money. It's yours. You hold it on a wallet like this. There you go. My camera's it's not that I don't want to look at the camera. I just have a separate monitor and whatever. So separation of money and state, which is kind of crazy, but it's what's happening. You hear separation of church and state. Well, this separation of money and state is going to happen here. Bitcoin is not controlled by the government, currently completely global, so you can send it anywhere in the world. There's not any place in the world, if they have internet, you can send it right there, no problem. They don't shut down certain areas, or they won't, and you can send it for essentially free. The transaction fees are close to nothing. Whereas if you're trying to send Western Union, you're going to pay $100 on 1,000 or $130 on 1,000. I know because I've done it. It's jaw-dropping, all the fees and stuff. So this is grown-up money, and that's child money. That's how I describe it. We're not trying to give our money away to all these intermediaries that we don't need anymore. And I'll be getting into the security in the next little slideshow here. So who controls Bitcoin? Nobody controls Bitcoin. That's awesome. It's decentralized. It's a peer-to-peer network of computers working together to keep Bitcoin secure. So it's the world's most secure and powerful network. It's more powerful than the world's top 500 supercomputers combined. It's run by the people for the people. What happens when we decentralize money? Yeah, it can get it's going to get pretty dicey. It's going to get pretty messy. People are going to be fighting to keep their delusions intact, their old system, their old way of thinking, and there's people that are going to integrate, and there's people, that are going to be excited one way or the other, and people that are going to be angry one way or the other. So we got a show on our hands, which is what we need, because life has gotten pretty boring. I get tired of seeing the news murder this, rape that. It's just whatever at this point. It's not that I'm don't care. Of course I don't want those things, but it doesn't matter what I want. It's just the way life currently is. I don't try to control life, because I realize that is just one of the silliest beliefs possible. You just kind of ride life. Anyway, so what happens when we decentralize money? Yes, it's scary to leave an already programmed mindset to enter a new mindset. This is the case no matter what the mindset is. So anytime we're trying to dispose of the old and come in with the new, we're going to go through a painful period. Just deprogramming and reprogramming. I know it can be painful for a person to hear that their mind is, or brain is just like a CPU unit, something that just, it just gives the information to you for you to perceive. Like, instead of resonating with it and calling it yours and all this and that people do, I mean, it can get pretty sociopathic when we start doing that and get in the greediness and the isolation that's created by it. So if we can just be a little more open or whatever, I don't want to be preaching, but in order to understand this stuff, you're going to have to open your mind. And when it starts to close off, you're going to have to realize those are my beliefs. Those beliefs need a second look. Like, you can either reinforce them or you can allow them to just come in and flow out. So, like, you kind of start to get into this thought flow state where your thoughts just kind of flow. They don't stagnate. They don't repeat. They're not, constantly saying the same thing, which is just not even accurate. So, and that's, on a person-to-person, case-by-case basis, and we need to not be pointing the fingers at each other anymore. We need to be pointing it at ourselves all the time. So we get financial fairness, financial innovation, financial freedom. Banks steal from us, and the sneakiest way they steal is through inflation. So, I mean, you can see it in the patterns of history. Okay, everyone currently, 11/28/2017, they got their money in the S&P 500. They got it in the stocks. They got it in everything. They're all just laying back, buying their shit, feeling good. The money's coming in. They're getting their 10% a year. Well, if you look back at the market throughout, it only does 3 to 5% per year in history, and we've been doing like 10% for 10 consecutive years. This should be raising alarms. Okay, you made a lot of money. It's time to move it into cash, some of it, whatever. And you got to look at these stocks. This will be for a different day, but a lot of these stocks aren't going to survive. Like, a lot of this fast food, a lot of this stuff based off of advertising, which I really hope people are starting to see through advertising by this point, and the fact that it's just constantly hounding us everywhere we go all the time. Pepsi, Coke, all this stuff, it's not going to survive without the advertising. So they're constantly putting more and more dollars and getting, the last of the people that are like so addicted to it. The big shiny signs and the ads and everything, and just, what their mind does when they see soda or fast food. I'm the same way. It's not like I don't cave and do it all the time. I get it, but slowly it's going to deteriorate. Like, we are going to get healthier. We are going to wake up as a whole. And I know that's just hopeful belief, but I also do kind of see it. Like, you get bored of it eventually. You just, like, get tired of looking in the mirror and being like, what the fuck? So, yeah, inflation is huge, and you don't want to be part of the collapse. So by a continuing process of inflation, it's a quote by John, whoever he is. By a continuing process of inflation, government can confiscate secretly and unobserved an important part of the wealth of their citizens. So, like, it's just one of the sneakiest ways to steal our money is inflation. And they're constantly saying that we're on pace with inflation, but they're not including, like, gas and, like, they're not including everything. So, like, they're saying inflation's like 3% a year, but it's actually, like, more like 8% a year. So, like, your 10% gains when you're incorporating inflation, you're not it's a total mess, you know. So it's a bubble, but that bubble is created through human perception and human belief. Like, we have to go to the foundation every single time of how this is happening. It's happening in our minds, and our minds are projecting reality out there for us to perceive. So once these new emotions start to come in, and people aren't so laid back and like totally euphoric on the market, they're going to have fear, uncertainty, and doubt come in and start to really devour them from the inside out. And there's no stopping this. Like, it doesn't matter what words you spit out to try to defend this not happening. That is just your bullshit belief. And if you can't see that, then you might want to do some internal work, because if your entire life has been external, and we can see through the hard work of scientists that the external world simply is not even there, then you start to move your focus inward, internally. And if you move your focus internally, it's quite the ride. So all these loans are created out of thin air. Purchasing value of the dollar lost 95% of its value in 1913. Since 1913. So inflation's huge. We just keep printing and printing and printing because we don't know what else to do. It's crazy. Bitcoin cannot be devalued through inflation. How cool is that? There's a limited number, so inflation's not possible. So how many Bitcoins are there? Bitcoins cannot be printed out of thin air. There will only be 21 million Bitcoins in circulation. Each Bitcoin goes down 8 decimal places. This means it can run an entire global economy. You cannot get Bitcoins by buying them or mining them. So you can either invest in them, or you can purchase a supercomputer miner that you plug in, and get in a mining pool and mine your own coins. So the mining aspect is kind of a business, because you mine the coin, you sell the coin, you get cash. Or you mine the coin, you keep the coin, or you mine the coin, you sell the coin, buy another coin. You do whatever you want, but it's a business. Now, when you're buying into crypto, you have to understand that you are gambling, that you are investing. It's like anything else. Life is a gamble. Money is a gamble. You know, you gotta understand that. You gotta be ready for that. You gotta be ready for the volatility. You gotta be ready for the emotional distress. And you can't prepare yourself for it. It's just going to come, and it's going to hurt, and it's going to feel good, and it's going to hurt, and it's going to feel good, but at least you're getting feeling again. So we got financial innovation. Currently, when sending money, especially globally, we deal with endless theft. High fees to receive, high fees to send, currency exchange fees, delays, security issues, privacy, hackers, fraud, chargeback, unauthorized charges. Cryptocurrency cures all of this. None of this will be a problem with crypto. Banks, PayPal can freeze your accounts based on morality. So like there's certain like moral issues in which banks have actually seized money or not allowed money to be transferred just based on that type of stuff. Like even when it comes to medical marijuana, certain banks won't even allow it or whatever, just because of the history with it and I guess the majority of people they're entertaining. So that's kind of weird. When paying with a credit card, you are trusting the merchant not to steal your information or personal gains. Yeah, when you give a credit card over, you're giving them your numbers. You're giving them all your information. Yeah, so, and that's happening all day long. Like, you're just going around buying stuff and giving them your information. It's kind of weird. Bitcoin enables instant money transfer globally with no fees. That's badass. Security is first priority and is the most secure of anything. So Bitcoin is all about security. Like from the ground up, That's where it is. They have the best core team possible working on it all the time. So, yeah. Bitcoin, they're comparing to gold. So gold, the gold standard's not going to work for just endless reasons. We don't even know how much there is. We don't know how much. You have to reside in belief for the gold system to work, and we just can't trust what we're being told with gold to actually purchase it even tangibly. It just, in my opinion, it's not going to be worth shit because we can't go by that primitive standard. Now, if they shut down the internet completely, then I guess we could, but that's going to create a really boring life for us here on Earth. So I don't think the internet will get shut down. If it does, it'll be like riots. Bitcoin cannot be blocked. This is important for the 1 billion plus people starving. We cannot directly send money to anyone that needs it instead of giving it to a charity that steals 90% of donations. So most of these non-profit charities, organizations, I mean, they're employing people. Like, these people need to make money, and these people are just as greedy as all the other people. And they're just, they put these commercials on TV of these dying kids and these dying animals and all this stuff, and they hit you in the heart, and you're like, oh, I got some extra money, and you send them the extra money. They're taking like up to 90% of that money. But with Bitcoin, you can just send that money right to that kid, or right to that family. Yeah, I understand that. Well, what if they don't have internet access, all that? Well, you can send it to someone down there or wherever that does, and nothing happens overnight. I'm not saying that this is currently working that way, but I'm saying that this is a hell of a lot better option down the road. And I think it just would create such a wonderful distribution of wealth. Like, eventually people, like, in order to even invest in crypto, you got to lower your greedy sense and really see it for what it is and how it's going to help humanity. And because if you get wrapped up in the delusions and greeds of making money in cryptocurrency, then you're not really seeing it clearly. And I know that's like my own morals speaking, and I know that my own morals are bullshit. I'm just saying those morals help you distance yourself from the money aspect of it, like the greed aspect of it. So they kind of like help back you away. So you're not like, constantly obsessed with it. So it is open and accessible for everyone to use. It doesn't matter who you are. You have the internet, you can get it. Financial freedom is how this slide ends. Alright, and now I have up the blockchain. And this is the underlying technology of all of cryptocurrency. So it's not just cryptocurrency, it's cryptography. And the technology of the blockchain is what's going to revolutionize everything, not just the money system. It's going to be for everything. If there's trust between two parties, you're going to want it to be running through the blockchain, because the blockchain is an open ledger in which both parties can see what transactions took place. Or say you want to draw up a contract between two people or a bunch of people, you can put it in the blockchain. So no one person's holding on to that information. So like, say you wanted to run your will for, give all your crap to your kids or whatever when you die, you can put it in the blockchain. Like, all of this, everything can be run through this. So this technology is what makes this whole thing work. The security of it and the openness and trust involved with it. So what I have here is, I got a bunch of YouTubes on it, because the blockchain, it requires you to give it your attention. You have to understand how it works. And I'm not going to go into it completely. It dates back, so every Bitcoin ever produced and every transaction with Bitcoin is in an open ledger that can be seen by anyone. Yeah, it's more complicated than that. It's not like you can just go into a website and do it or whatever, but it can be done. And in 2013, Bitcoin went from like $2 up to $1,000, and people were digging it back then. But what happened is the news is powerful, and the news holds power over people. Not as much power clearly now as it did in 2013, but in 2013 we had an incident with selling drugs, Silk Roads or something like that, and just transferring money across the world for drugs. Any currency system is going to have criminal activity. It's going to happen with the dollar. It's going to happen with anything. So it's going to happen with crypto. But what we actually proved in 2013, and this isn't what they tell you in the news, is that we caught these people that were doing it because they used the blockchain technology to go back and see the transactions and how they gave it to a person, and they gave it to another person, they gave it to another person. They try to confuse everything to make it all confusing, but they went back and they actually caught the people that were doing all of this and arrested them and put them in jail. Like, that proves that the blockchain is badass. And so I would say watch these videos. There's tons of like TED Talks and stuff if you like that type of stuff, or there's really advanced videos on it. But yeah, basically you have your personal, you have like your public signature, which is basically just your bunch of numbers to complete the transaction. Then you have your private signature, which you keep to yourself, and keeps it all secure for yourself. I do know tons about this, but like my brain right now is just kind of like foggy. I'm just kind of getting tired of doing a video, and it looks like the way I formatted this PowerPoint, you got to do the work on your own. Just figure it out yourself. Like, it stands up for itself. It doesn't need defended. You just have to get the knowledge to crush the fear. And there's a saying, this is a slight tangent, there's a saying that when I played a lot of golf like 5 years ago, Sean Foley said, who was Tiger Woods' coach back then, he said knowledge crushes fear. And just the other day I was thinking about that, and that's not correct. It is correct, but it's not. It's not correct because new fear comes in once you crush the old fear. So I want to reformat what he said and say that knowledge crushes old fear. So you currently have fears on the blockchain. This is just an example, and how it works, and you're a skeptic of it, and you have your current beliefs against it, and your life is working better than other people's lives, or whatever you're doing to maintain your lifestyle. But if you bring in these new knowledgeable fears to crush your old fears, then you're going to have a whole new can of worms, or what, I don't know the saying, or whatever. You got new shit on your plate. So you're crushing the old fear, yes, but you're entering a new fear. And that is why the complexity of delusion is infinitely complex, and the simplicity of truth is infinitely simple. So you have to understand, like, you feel like you're going somewhere, you feel like you're gaining new knowledge, you feel like you're growing as a person and all that, but you're really just adding old fear on top of new fear. And you have to actually crush the old fear if you want to grow as a person. So it's just childish to slap new shit on your old shit. It's just gonna make you look just not knowledgeable on anything when you're doing this, because you're not doing the internal work. You're just kind of just like sheepishly scraping information from everywhere and trying to regurgitate it as if you know what you're talking about. But if you really want to know what you're talking about, you got to do the work all by yourself, independently, without me, without anybody, taking the information from everywhere and filter it through yourself. That is what Walt Whitman said. So the blockchain is an open ledger that goes back to the original Bitcoins produced. The transactions are formed into blocks. So just think of a block as if a sheet of paper with the information of what's happening. That's a block. It just has all the information, the signatures, the transaction, the amount of money going from Betty to Susan or whatever, and that's what a block is. And it forms the block, and the block goes backwards as time goes forwards. So new blocks are being produced, and if you want to go back in the blockchain to see what happened, you can. So yeah, we don't need accountants. We don't need basically everything that's taking place in these cities. We don't need these big buildings anymore. We don't need all these jobs. Yes, it's going to take these jobs. But if we kind of look at the fact that we have like $75 million or $1 trillion in circulation, we have technology isn't expensive, all this stuff, then okay, the jobs are going to go away, but we gotta find a way to distribute the wealth throughout the world and make this a fun place to live, because my God, we're gonna die. The whole working thing, all that stuff, it's going to go out the window slowly. The unemployment's just going to grow and grow and grow. You don't need to make people feel bad for not having jobs anymore, because there just aren't any. You can serve iced tea to just people or whatever, and they can complain about their food not coming on time. That is just not life to me anymore. I can't even go out to eat. There's no amount I could tip my server that would be enough in my eyes anymore, and I know because I was in their position. I get it. I'd go back to that position if life took me there, no problem, and I do it with a smile. But that's not life. It's just not fun. I'm just not digging it. So we just have to be open to what this is going to do and how it's going to change and revolutionize the world. So the blockchain is completely open. No transaction is private. That is how it works with Bitcoin. No transaction is private. It's in the open ledger. It's open for the world to see. There's a huge amount of trust. Anybody can see how much amount of Bitcoin and money you have. It's a little more eye-opening, Nobody wants to ever tell anybody how much they make it at their job or how much money they have and all this shit and that. It's just, why, though? Why? Why is it all so hidden? Why is it all so secret? Everybody's trying to protect something, but there's nothing to protect. It's just life. So this means trust must come into play, unlike the banking system. Digital signature is in blocks by way of number code. So everything just works in numbers, and that's what these machines figure out, the numbers. Private and public keys. The sending addresses are public. To prove you are who you are, you need a private key and signature. Yes, it can be confusing. That is why I suggest watching as many videos on it to earn trust. The more you dive into it, the more you start to understand it. You're going to go through periods of discomfort, and you're going to go through periods of excitement, and eventually it'll start to stabilize. It stirs up your mind hard, because money is entangled within your belief system. Everything within your belief system. Yeah. If I date back, a little bit in time to I played poker my whole life, so from age 18, I literally didn't take a break until this week. And since I took a break this week, then I get to do this video and get this shit out of my system to hop back on that pointless poker table and click those pointless buttons for that pointless money. It's just going to be a chuckling pastime for me, because the whole thing was just a giant charade, and I see that now. But it's how I made my money during that time, and I was taught different ways, and I went against the herd, and going against the herd hurts. But if you're willing to hurt and understand that that pain is temporary, and that pain is fake, like, I laugh. Like, some days I hurt so much, and I understand that that pain is not only necessary, it's how we grow. I'd be nothing without my pain, because then when I get that relief and that gratitude comes in, as that fear goes out, gratitude comes in, because you see, like, as you let go of your beliefs and your fears, you see that it was bullshit, and that infinite consciousness is running the show. And it doesn't mean you have to have some weird fetish or whatever with it. You just have to be aware that that's the way things work, and be grateful. If you can learn to say thank you in the worst moments and times of your life, and I know this sounds like preachy religious shit, but it's not. The only real prayer anyone needs is thank you. And it's a word that I sucked at. It's a word that I didn't used to even understand. But thank you is all you need, and that thank you doesn't need to go anywhere. You just need to feel gratitude, and that's the thing. People don't understand, like, when it comes to gratitude, it's something that's felt. It's not something that can be you can't force yourself to be grateful. You can't program your mind delusionally to be grateful. And if you're doing that, guys, we can tell. Like, we can tell the lack of authenticity with it. You know, if you're pissed off, be pissed off. If you're happy, be happy. If you're sad, be sad. Like, it's a flowing thing. Like, emotions just flow. You know, none are better than another. You know, emotion just is. So if you're putting up a resistance toward pain, if you're putting up a resistance toward depression or like logic, just because it's uncomfortable, it's not gonna stop. It's gonna persist. It just will not stop. It's gonna just keep coming and coming, and like it's gonna boil over at some point. And like, it's cool to get pissed. It's cool to get sad. It's cool to get happy. Like, it doesn't matter. It's like, it just is. So, you know, learn how to say fuck it. That's that's my only advice. And I'm tired at this point, you know. So I'm going to stop this video. It's the first video I ever did. I don't know where it's going to go. I'll probably just end up deleting it like I do everything I do. But if not, whatever.